Recently, a woman that was prepping for a contest passed away only a few days before the contest. I can't remember her name. By any chance?
Alena.
Okay.
Alena.
Alena. And, sad, a really sad passing because she was way too young. And then a few days later, Jake Wood made a public statement on social media saying that we're going to try to avoid any other terrible mishaps like this, by way of trying to basically, I think he was trying to say, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, that maybe we're judging it a little bit too hard on conditioning, and maybe that's where the problems are lying.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you give me your opinion on that whole scenario?
Sure. First, I want to send my condolences, obviously, out to Alena's family and her
Absolutely.
friends and her circle, because, that's just, it's heartbreaking. It's heart-wrenching, really. And
what was her last name? I'm sorry. Do we know her last name?
I want to say her maiden name is Hatvani. I can't remember.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's Alena Hatvani something. And I apologize, but I think it's unfortunate, but I also think that we as competitors, we sort of take on a level of risk that we know is sort of innate in the nature of either, the extremity of, the extreme nature of our sport, and some of the extreme protocols and the protocols that we take on and that we decide to follow, whether it's the extreme cardio, the extreme diet, the extreme gear, depending on what things are in people's protocols. I think that there's a certain level of risk that we do take on. But I want to say that as a competitor, we have to be honest with ourselves. Like, we know what the goal is. We know what the parameters of the judging is. And not for nothing, but that's what makes our sport unique. It's like, if you were to say, oh, football, oh, well, too many people are ending up with concussions because of the tackling, so we're going to take tackling out, or we're only going to allow you to tackle this way, or we're not going to judge the guys on, or we're not going to, just taking out that element because of, this is what's causing, certain dangers in the sport. I think that there needs to be some accountability held, for sure, but I don't think that sort of, and to the point of what Jake's response was, it was essentially, maybe they're judging the conditioning, over conditioning too much. And I think, and this is my own personal opinion, I think that there has to be a little bit more thought put into that overall assessment, because you can't just take out that one element. You can't just take out that one element, because you could say that's the thing that is putting people in danger, or you could say that the thing that's putting in people in danger is, them getting too big, or, them doing too much cardio, whatever the case may be, their lack of diet or their lack of calories. But I don't want it to be just something that's considered on the women's side. If you're going to change anything in the judging for the women, and unfortunately, this is where a lot of the focus has been. It's been on the women's division, because there have been a couple of women that have passed, but there have also been a couple of men that have passed, but people haven't necessarily put the same amount of glaring attention on the men's death, as they have the women. But I think that what needs to happen is, we as competitors obviously need to be smarter. The coaches need to be smarter. And, if there are any changes that are made, I think you still need to maintain the integrity of the sport, making sure that you're coming in hard, making sure that, competitors are coming in dry and full and big, and really creating that artistic aesthetic body.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that really draws, people's ire and attention and glare. But at the same time can help keep people safe. But I don't think that you need to take out the one thing, or this one thing, or say, oh, there's over judging of that. I think that something has to be done with, creating a balance. And I don't know what that is necessarily, but
I don't know either.
You can't take out conditioning, because anybody, and I'm not going to say this because that's a blanket saying, anybody can get big, but anybody can get big. You overeat, you push the calories, you push, training in your chest or training in your legs. It's like, sort of anybody can do that, but to find that balance between conditioning, aesthetics, balance, symmetry, it's the whole pot.
Yes, and that's what
Yeah.
makes a champion. I couldn't agree more.
Sure.
Listen,